Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to Visor Down and welcome to the stunning Circuit Andalusia here in Almeria, where we have been testing Yamaha's new R7. Before I get into the review though, there is a little bit of housekeeping that needs to be done about this bike. Not really housekeeping so much, just a little bit of a rant. As soon as this bike got announced, there were people all over the interwebs who were going, oh, that's not an R7, it's not got an inline four-cylinder engine, and Noriyuki Aga would never ride that thing. Okay, no shit, Sherlock. It is not the original YZF R7 OW02. It is a completely new bike. But for me, it's a much more important bike because at the end of the day, the R7, the original R7, was a homologation race bike, very limited numbers, super duper expensive. Most of them were bought up as assets and have never seen the road. This is a bike that people will actually want to buy, and it is a bike that I think is a bit of a step change in the sports bike game with the Aprilia RS660, kind of the new breed of super sports bikes that are out there. So yeah, it says R7 in the name, but most of the people that are going to be buying this thing won't even know what the original R7 looked like. So can we just please put that to bed? Rant over. The engine of this thing is one of the most, I would say not iconic, but legendary parallel twin cylinder engines. It really changed the game when it came in the MT-07 back in the mid 2010s, and it's just steadily evolved from there. Doesn't need great amounts of work done to it, and it's just one of the fizzy, most characterful parallel twins that you can go out and buy. Spec wise, this has got exactly the same BHP basically as the MT-07, so we've got 73 or 72 brake horsepower, sorry. And because it's got that CP2 characteristic, the cross-plane crank in it, the torque is kind of dotted all around the rev range. It's really gutsy. Changes have been made for this year with the airbox, and it is a more raucous sounding engine. There's lots of little pops and burbles and bangs on the overrun, which is a lot of fun when you're out there on the track. So we've got a conventional cable operated throttle on this. We've got no ride-by-wire throttle, got no riding modes to play with or anything like that. More than anything, it just keeps the bike a bit more focused as a rider machine in my head. It means there's nothing to mess around with, and more importantly than that, it does keep the price point competitive. So this bike is coming in at £8,200 for the models that you can see in front of me here, and if you want to opt for the white and red anniversary colour scheme model, you're going to be paying £8,500, so an extra £300. The circuit of Andalusia, we've been clocking, I think I saw 122 on the clocks down the back straight here, so it's plenty quick enough. And we were riding it on the road earlier on today, and it never ever felt slow. It feels like a proper sorted sports bike in the turns and in the straights. You've got good stability, a slightly shorter overall wheelbase than the MT-07 by about 3mm, and the geometry of the bike has been totally sort of changed, so the front end is completely different with the USD forks, but the front end geometry is also specific to this model. The frame as well, it looks like the same frame, but actually it's stiffer, so there are plates on either side of the bike that have just been put there just to engineer in some stiffness to the frame. And one of the things that I remember thinking before we came to this launch was I really want this to feel distinctly different from the MT-07, and Yamaha have absolutely nailed that. It's got its totally unique to this model characteristic and riding dynamic. It's a really special machine on track, and I'm not blowing smoke up Yamaha's arse when I say that. It is a very well sorted bike, and that has been the opinion of pretty much everyone on this press launch today. The suspension, we've got fully adjustable USD forks up front, and we've got a very nice preload adjustable and rebound damping adjustable rear shock at the rear end as well. Yamaha even do a sexy O-lins with remote reservoir if you want to opt for that, which should totally revolutionise the handling again. But really for general road riding, unless you were going to go out and hammer a load of track days on one of these, I don't think it's really going to be on many people's radar. So the comfort of the bike, I mean, obviously it's not as comfortable as the MT-07. One of the things that struck me about the bike when I got on it was, to me, it feels almost like a carbon copy of the R1 in terms of the riding position. The pegs are high, it feels like you're putting your hands down into the fairing and grabbing the front wheel by the spindle, and the seat is 835mm, so it's quite high and it's quite ramped up at the back, which gives you this really aggressive sports bike stance. I did find it a little bit risky when we were riding around town and you were kind of sitting on the bars and holding yourself up on the bars, but once you get the thing, show it into a corner, and especially here at the circuit of Andalusia where you've just got never-ending corners basically apart from the big back straight, it really came into its own, and the actual on-bike comfort when you're on the pipe, as it were, is actually really very good. As I said earlier, we haven't really got electronics to play with. There is a new dash for this year which is meant to emulate the R1M dash in sort of the shape and the style. It's a reverse LCD. One of the things I did notice, it's non-adjustable. It's kind of stuck down in the cowling a bit. It does make it a little bit difficult to see over the top of that top yoke. You can't quite see some of the gear indicators and stuff like that. I would like to see it either more in a slightly more prominent position, or maybe just something a little bit different with the dash to make it a little bit more viewable. It's not a massive problem, it's just a gripe, something that I picked up from riding on the road. So what do we like about the Yamaha R7? It's still got all that fun factor of the MT-07. It's just in a much more focused package. It's got a front end that you can rely on, which is absolutely critical on a sports bike. It's kind of the keynote speech of any sports bike. I love the styling. I don't know why some people on the internet have said that they don't like the look of the bike, but I think it looks stunning. It looks like a proper sleek little crotch rocket, and it just, in the flesh, it's just such a good looking bike. The fit and finish is impeccable, and there is the Yamaha 60th anniversary colour scheme that you can opt for with the white and red speed blocks as well, which is only an extra 500 quid. And then you have got a really, really eye-catching bike out there on the road. What don't we like? The tyres take a little bit. The Bridgestone S22s that we were riding on the road earlier, and they didn't seem to heat up amazingly quickly. They felt a little bit sort of wooden to start off with. There is quite a bit of initial dive in the front end on the standard settings, but it's fully adjustable, so you can kind of dial all of that out. And unless you are going to be the kind of person that takes this thing out on a twisty B road every weekend, the kind of the riding position, that DNA that's running through the bike might become a little bit tiresome if you are just the kind of person who bods around town and down the dual carriageway. Look, sports bikes are changing. They're going to have to. If they don't evolve, they die. It's like dinosaurs. And sports bikes are changing. These are the new breed of super sports machines. And I, for one, am pretty happy about it because they're cheaper to buy, they're cheaper to run, they're cheaper to insure, and they're cheaper to maintain than inline four-cylinder motorcycles. You've got all the fun of the fair without any of the speeding fines, because even when you're flat out on this thing, you're only going to be doing 120, 125 miles an hour on it. So it's kind of, it's brought the fun zone of sports motorcycles into a more attainable place. If you like what you see, these bikes are going to be in dealers in the UK very, very soon. Like I said earlier on in the video, they're £8,200 for these two colours that you can see in front of me, and £8,500 for the anniversary edition. There is even a super sexy, a bite the back of your hand, beautiful GYTR, so genuine Yamaha technology racing kit that you can buy with an Krapovic end cannon full system exhaust, which just looks and sounds stunning. So, we've had a listen to the standard R7. It's about time we had a listen to this. and loads of bolt-on goodies that will make your bike look better and go faster. So it really is something you can buy, own and make your own on that one, and I for one am a big fan and can't wait to ride it again once I get back to the UK. Anyway, that's enough of me waffling on. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next one, folks.